Alright everybody, here recently on the channel we did top 5 most anticipated PS5 games. After that showcase, then we did top 5 Xbox Series X games following their showcase. And I said, why don't we just do our most anticipated Nintendo Switch games while we're at it? Now it's important to remember that Nintendo hasn't really had a big summer showcase or even a big fall showcase to talk about what games are coming up. So we're going to have to go off of kind of what we've heard sprinkled in throughout the last year or two. So, in many people's eyes, Nintendo has had a quiet year. I see all the time, Nintendo, what's going on? Did you forget you make games? Hey, Nintendo's just giving up on 2020. But I don't really think it's that bad. I think a lot of people forget or just probably don't realize that I guess Nintendo really wasn't ready for COVID, and I think you can look at the games they've released as examples of that. Look at pre-COVID, you had Xenoblade Chronicles, Animal Crossing, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, the port from the Wii U. You had the BioShock trilogy. You had the Borderlands. Was it the trilogy? I think so, but I can't remember what all was included in that. And now, just recently, post-COVID, Nintendo was able to land SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, which is one of my favorite third-party games of the year. They also were able to release Mario Party and the Origami King. So really, they've had, two major releases post-COVID? Maybe there's some more sprinkled in there that I just didn't pay attention to, but SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom and Paper Mario, for me, were really big home runs. But pre-COVID, they were killing it. I mean, Animal Crossing sold like hotcakes, and they were able to release some more fan-driven games such as Xenoblade and Tokyo Mirage Session. They've also been able to squeak out Pokemon DLC and Smash Brothers DLC, so they've had a pretty good 2020 if you ask me. I know not everybody's going to agree with that, but I still think as a whole, 2020 has not been terrible. COVID has just kind of ruined what they could have done. So let's take a look at what are my most anticipated Switch games as of right now. A few disclaimers. I want the games to be based in some reality. So what do I mean by that? So for example, a lot of people are clamoring for a Pikmin Trilogy HD collection. And as far as I know, I have not heard any official statements from Nintendo about working on a Pikmin Trilogy. If I'm wrong, just correct me. However, I feel as if I've heard Miyamoto claim to be working on a Pikmin 4. I meant to fact check that. I totally forgot, but I just feel like at some point he said that he was working on Pikmin 4. Could completely be wrong about that. Some other games such as Mario Kart 9, the next Pokemon Let's Go, and even Mario Odyssey 2 are just games I've heard fans talk about or leaks or rumors talk about. I haven't heard anything official from Nintendo about any of those games, so you won't see them on this list. That's the rules. Coming in at number 5 is No More Heroes 3. There were two games fighting for this 5th spot, Bayonetta 3 and No More Heroes 3. They both clock in as probably the two biggest third-party games left to come out on the Switch, and at the end of the day, I've barely played any of their former two installments. Since the N64, Nintendo has struggled to sustain major third-party support. As a consumer who wants to see Nintendo snag more and more of these third-party titles, there's a little bit of incentive on my behalf to purchase these titles and help them be profitable. If you just buy first-party titles, third-party developers will see no point in putting their games on the Switch. The main reason I'm picking up No More Heroes 3 over Bayonetta, for now anyway, is I think I like the hack-and-slash genre a tad bit more than the bullet hell shoot-'em-up genre of Bayonetta. This could change as we get closer to those games' official releases. Coming at number 4 is a game we already highlighted on the channel. That's Pokemon Snap. And I would say the ceiling for this game is the 3rd spot, but for right now I've got it stationed at just the 4, and I'll explain why in a little bit. I just don't see this game rising above the top 2 contenders regardless. Nevertheless, this is a Pokemon title, and I tend to enjoy them no matter what form they take. The game looks beautiful. The environments are breathtaking, and finally, the Pokédex has evolved a lot since the OG 151. So it will be nice to see a brand new roster updated with plenty of new Pokemons. However, I feel like the concept of an on-rail shooter is a little outdated. You gotta remember, Pokemon Snap came out on the N64, 3D games were brand new, I think you were just playing it safe. It was a very cool and neat concept back then. But today, I feel like it could be a secondary mode to complement a small yet open world Pokemon Snap sequel, something I talked about in the actual Pokemon Snap reveal video. But we aren't there with this game. I'm pretty sure this game is going to be strictly on rails, which in my opinion questions how much content can you get out of this game. I know Pokemon Snap has a lot of replayability because there's stuff you're going to miss the first time, but I just question whether this game is actually going to be worth $60 when it's all said and done. Either way, if Pokemon Snap gets a sequel on maybe a Switch Pro in a few years, I think it's time to bring Pokemon Snap series into an open world adventure where you go around snapping Pokemons in the wild, you can interact with them more freely, yada 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 yada. I'm very interested to see what they do with Pokemon Snap, how have they evolved it, so on and so forth. I think it's going to be really awesome. I'm just more excited for if we do like an open world Pokemon Snap, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Number 3, Ari and the Secret of Seasons. Let me just go ahead and say I played about an hour and 15-minute demo of this game on the channel already back when it was available for the Steam demo. That will be the footage you're seeing right now is straight from my channel. If you want to see more of it, then by all means check out the demo. But either way, let's compare Ari to another indie title I think of around the same size, and that's A Hat in Time. A Hat in Time was a Kickstarter success. It was an indie game I absolutely fell in love with. I hyped that game up right out of the gates, and it lived up to the hype. And I want to be careful saying Ari and the Secret of Seasons will rival Zelda in the same way. I mean, you gotta understand, A Hat in Time almost tops the Mario franchise. That's how great A Hat in Time is. Still, Ari looks gorgeous. The mechanics are fresh and exciting. And most importantly, the game just looks fun. I'm very excited. I've already pre-ordered my copy. I cannot wait for it to come out. Again, I played about an hour of it over on the Ari video when it came out. So feel free to check out the first hour of that game and get excited because it's a very cool indie title coming to Switch, and I cannot wait to see it. Number 2, the Mario HD remakes. Let's just go ahead. I wasn't going to do multiples from a franchise just to kind of give some diversity. So what I decided to do is, because I want to talk about all these Mario titles, is just to lump them into number 2. That way it's not Mario 64 HD Remake number 2, Mario Galaxy HD Remake number 3, you know what I mean? We just keep this all on number 2. And the hype is so real that this could just as easily be the number 1 pick. And it was for the longest time. I've been working on this video for about a week or two. And at the end of the day, I kept putting this at number 1 because I just want to see what they do with Super Mario 64. I mean, that's honestly what's driving me the most crazy right now is I want to see what they do with Super Mario 64. But for me, I ended up putting it at 2 for 2 reasons. I've been on a Zelda kick lately. Sorry about that. My cat got herself locked in the bathroom and I could just hear her crying into the headphone. I was like, what in the world? Let me go check on that. Yeah, I've been on a Zelda kick recently, which you'll see with an upcoming blog post / YouTube video that I'm starting to work on now that's going to involve Zelda. And B, there's still so many question marks. Like, is this just standard HD ports? Are there any added features such as co-op? Will these games be getting a physical release or just a digital release? Will some games be packaged together? Will we get 64 and Sunshine included into one cartridge? Will we get Galaxy 1 and 2 on one cartridge? Or are these going to be $60 each with 5 games? It's like, that's a lot of money. I think the hype could lead to disappointment, so I want to keep my expectations grounded in reality. But also it's important to remember that the mystery behind these releases is what makes the anticipation and the expectations, the speculations and the rumors so much fun. So let's just sit back and see how the Super Mario HD remakes play out. Now, before we jump into number 1, which I'm sure anyone who's been keeping up with the Switch already knows what number 1 is, let's go over a few honorable mentions. First up, Balan Wonderworld. Considering this game has had more shown off for it than most of the games on this list, it's easy to see how this game could justifiably be in the top 3, maybe even the top 1 when you factor in the gameplay footage we've already seen of it. However, this was one of the few Microsoft announced games that I was actually looking forward to. Plus, I kind of wanted some diversity on this list. Now, remember, I'm an achievement junkie, so if Balan Wonderworld comes to Game Pass, I'll probably pick it up that way and try to get all the achievements. But this is no doubt a game I'm looking to buy on my Switch. I love buying these kind of indie, under the radar. I don't know if Balan Wonderworld's an indie game or not. I'm not sure who's developing it off the top of my head. But, I've picked up New Super Lucky Tale. I picked up the Spyro Reignited trilogy. I picked up SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. I picked up A Hat in Time. These are games I love having on my Switch. So Balan Wonderworld just fits that mold perfectly. And next up on the honorable mentions is Bayonetta 3. As discussed, I want to support these third-party developers. Platinum Games is just doing great things over at Nintendo. They've brought over Wonderful 101. They've got Astral Chain. They've done a lot of great things, so I would like to continue supporting them, even if Bayonetta 3 isn't exactly up my aisle. Is that the expression? Even if it isn't my cup of tea. I did play the Bayonetta 1, the first few levels. I enjoyed it for what it is. Kind of like Devil May Cry-esque. So I'm okay. I can get down with some Bayonetta. But from here on, it would just be speculation such as Mario Odyssey 2, a Mario Party Ultimate, in the same way Smash Bros. Ultimate was done, or even a Metroid Prime HD trilogy. So I'll just go ahead and jump to number 1. Number 1, of course, nobody is shocked. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Oh boy. Nintendo already announced this game in what feels like forever ago. But come on, they announced Breath of the Wild in what feels like the GameCube era, right? Like, that game took years and years and years. It was told it was going to be on the Wii U. It got pushed back. Finally, it was the last major Nintendo game released on the Wii U, I'm pretty sure. And, we can wait. I'm thinking we're going to have to wait another year on Breath of the Wild 2. Unless they just slip it through the floodgates. It's getting late in the year to just announce, hey, holiday season, Breath of the Wild 2. Like, we need some hype. So I'm feeling like it's going to be a 2021 title. That's fine with me. But what you have to understand is a lot of people see Breath of the Wild as a masterpiece. You got to remember that the Switch is arguably the greatest kids console of all time. I realize that statement may be a little confusing, but so many non-gamer kids and parents have bought the Switch, kind of like in the way that we did, right? And they're getting exposed to Mario Odyssey. They're getting exposed to Yoshi, to Donkey Kong, to Kirby, and of course to Zelda through Breath of the Wild. So many kids and even adults who didn't buy a Nintendo console since the N64 or the GameCube or something like that, or casuals who are just now getting into gaming. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was their first taste of Zelda, and it blew their mind. So I argue that Breath of the Wild has touched and influenced people of all ages in the same way that Ocarina and A Link to the Past did back in the 90s. However, I personally think Breath of the Wild was only scratching the surface as far as what Nintendo can do with an open-world Zelda game. Breath of the Wild began its lifespan being developed for the Wii U. Breath of the Wild 2 will be built entirely for the Switch, and not to mention Nintendo now has had a few years under its belt of programming for the Switch. I think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to destroy the epic insta-classic that was Breath of the Wild, and that should sound groundbreaking. So yes, Nintendo's 2020 could have been colossal. Epic. Imagine if they got Breath of the Wild 2 out this year. Imagine if they get all 5 of the HD remakes for Mario out this year. Just imagine what this year could have been. If they actually got that F-Zero game out. If they had got Metroid Prime 4 out, which we knew was never going to happen, or Pikmin 4 out. Just imagine. They could have owned 2020. While PS5 is, we'll see. Don't forget the PS3 and the Xbox 360 were significantly more powerful than the Wii. And they came out with the Red Ring of Death. I think the PS3, what was their problem? Were they overheating or something like that? I don't remember. They didn't work. I don't know. But you got to remember that the Switch has a foothold. Just because these new consoles are coming out doesn't mean that they're going to just suddenly take over. The Switch has a 3-year foothold already. And Nintendo has brand loyalty. So they announce anything epic, it's going to be a good holiday season for them. But COVID probably didn't help matters. If you are a Switch owner, get excited though, because Mario Odyssey 2 and all the HD remakes, Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime 4, eventually when these games come out, they will be just as good as any of the other big titles being offered to you by Xbox and Microsoft. At least right out of the gate. No denying that Sony has some heavy hitters coming up, but right out of the gate, if Nintendo just announces a couple of good holiday games, they can compete with Xbox and PlayStation. That's all I'm saying. So, it's not all doom and gloom for Nintendo. Like, they still have some heavy hitters on deck. It's just a matter of getting those games out. Like, Nintendo has to start generating hype because people are beginning to be like, what's going on? Like, even just come out and say, these are the games we're working on. Get excited. COVID's slowing us down, but, you know, these games will be out at some point. Get excited. And you know, people will lose their mind. So that's it. That's my opinion. What are some games you're looking forward to? You don't have to leave it strictly to solid games. If you're going, I'm excited for Pokemon Let's Go Johto. Let's get in there. Or I'm excited for Mario Kart 9. Yeah, those games are coming. We know they're coming. We just don't have any information to go off of. So, you know, feel free to say that's what you're looking forward to. Either way, that's my opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.